The night was silent. The stars above burned bright, shining like cold eyes watching from the sky. The tall grass moved gently in the wind, each blade whispering as if it feared to speak too loud. Deep in the shadows, something stirred. The predator crouched low to the ground. Its body was long, strong, and covered in dark scales that blended with the night. Two golden eyes glowed like fire in the darkness. Its breath was slow and steady, but every sound around it was clear to its sharp ears. The predator was hungry, and hunger made it patient. It had traveled far from the mountains, leaving its pack behind. The hunting grounds here were strange, filled with new smells and new sounds. But prey was prey, and tonight it had found something worth chasing. The predator's gaze locked on a figure standing alone in the open field. A human. A tall, thin figure with no armor, no claws, no fangs. The human stood very still, as if waiting for something. The predator tilted its head, curious. Why would such weak prey stand so open? Why did it not run? The predator's claws dug into the dirt. Its tail swayed slowly, left and right. It could smell the human scent, strong and clear. The smell told it that this prey was alive, strong with blood and muscle. But there was something else, a faint second smell that made the predator's tongue flick out. A younger scent, small, fragile. Nearby, the predator growled deep in its throat. There was more than one human here, perhaps young ones, perhaps hidden. It mattered little. If it struck fast and silent, it would feed well tonight. The human turned its head slightly. The starlight touched his face. His eyes, sharp and alert, glimmered in the dark. He looked straight at the shadows, as if he knew the predator was there. His expression did not show fear. His breathing did not quicken. He only stood, calm and waiting. The predator hesitated. It had hunted many creatures across many worlds. Some had teeth, some had horns, some had poison. But all prey shared one thing, fear. It could always smell it, taste it, see it in their eyes before the hunt began. Yet this human showed none. Was it bravery, or was it foolishness? The wind shifted, carrying the human's scent even stronger. The predator stepped forward, each movement slow and silent. Its body flowed like water, smooth and hidden. It circled wide, moving from shadow to shadow, waiting for the right angle. Its golden eyes never left the human. The grass brushed against its scales, soft and harmless. The night air was cool, filled with the distant cry of some small bird. But all sound seemed to fade as the predator closed the distance. It could hear the human's heartbeat now, slow, steady, controlled, not the frantic pounding of a terrified prey. The predator's hunger grew sharper. It wanted the chase, the kill, the taste of victory. But something inside it twitched with unease. The human stillness, the human's calm, it was wrong. Too wrong. The predator remembered hunts from its past. The small creatures that ran screaming, easy to bring down. The larger beasts that fought hard, their eyes full of rage and terror. But never had it faced prey that looked straight into the shadows with steady eyes. The human shifted his stance. Not much. Just one small step, one small adjustment, as if bracing for something. His hands hung at his sides, open and empty, but his posture was strange. He did not stand like prey. He stood like a wall, firm and unshaken. The predator's tail flicked harder. Its claws dug deeper into the soil. Muscles coiled in its body, ready to spring. Hunger demanded the strike, but instinct whispered caution. The silence stretched. The field seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere beyond the ridge, a faint sound carried on the wind. Soft, fragile, the sound of small voices trying not to cry. The predator's ears twitched. So the human was not alone. The young scent, the small voices, It understood now. The human was guarding something. The predator's golden eyes narrowed. The hunt had changed. Prey that guards young can fight harder, strike stronger, and sometimes refuse to fall until death. But to the predator, that only promised a greater challenge. Its body lowered even closer to the ground. Its muscles tensed like a bow pulled tight. The taste of blood filled its mind. Soon it would strike. Soon it would see if this strange human broke like the others, or if something else waited within that calm face. The wind blew again. The tall grass bent low. The night seemed to lean forward, waiting for the first move. And the predator smiled in its own silent way. The hunt had begun. The human stood tall in the field, his eyes fixed on the darkness where the predator waited. He did not move. He did not show fear. Every muscle in his body was tense, but his face was calm, controlled. He knew the creature was out there. He had known from the moment the wind shifted and carried that sharp, rotten scent across the grass. Behind him, hidden among the rocks and thick bushes, two small figures huddled together. His children. They were silent, holding their breath, just as he had told them. Their wide eyes glowed faintly in the starlight, watching their father's back. They trusted him. They always had. The human had led the predator here on purpose. When he first saw the golden eyes flash in the dark, he understood what stalked them. He could have run with the children, but the creature was faster. It would have caught them within minutes. Running was death. Fighting in the open, on ground of his choosing, was the only chance they had. So he stood alone, making himself the bait. The predator did not know the truth. It thought the human was weak, standing still out of fear or confusion. It thought this hunt would be like all the others, quick and simple. But the human was not still because of fear. He was still because every step, every breath, was part of his plan. The children shivered in the bushes, pressing their small hands over their mouths to keep quiet. One of them trembled and looked like he wanted to cry, but the older sibling hugged him tight. Their father had told them, "Do not make a sound. No matter what you see, no matter what you hear, you stay hidden." And they obeyed. The predator crept closer, its body sliding through the grass like a dark shadow. It circled wide, trying to approach from behind, but the human shifted slightly, always turning just enough to keep the creature in front of him. He could not see it with his eyes, but he felt it, the way the grass moved, the way the night air grew heavy. He listened to every sound, every breath of the earth around him. He had hunted before, not creatures like this, but he knew the rules of survival. A hunter's silence was never perfect. There was always a sign, always a whisper if you paid attention. The predator paused, surprised again. This prey was clever, too clever. It crouched low, its golden eyes narrowing. Hunger pressed against its mind. But another feeling stirred inside it now, curiosity. What kind of prey was this? Why did it not run? Why did it face the danger so openly? The human slowly bent down and touched the ground. His hand closed around smooth stone, heavy enough to be used as a weapon. His movements were quiet, almost gentle, but his mind was sharp, ready for the strike to come. The predator's tail twitched. It recognized the motion. Prey arming itself? Interesting. Yet it did not fear the stone. Against its claws and teeth, such a thing was nothing. It had faced stronger weapons and still won. Still, something in the human's posture made it pause. The human's body was tense, but not desperate. His grip on the stone was firm, but not clumsy. This was no last act of a creature about to die. This was preparation. The children behind the ridge pressed closer together. The younger one whispered so faintly it was almost lost to the wind, "Papa!" The older sibling hushed him quickly, holding him tighter. Their father had not moved. He had not turned to look at them, But they knew he heard. He always heard. And they knew he would not fall. The predator crept closer still, sliding 1 foot at a time. Its claws sank softly into the soil. Its scales brushed the grass without a sound. Its body blended into the night until only its eyes shone faintly like 2 burning embers. It was close now. Very close. The human's breathing deepened, slow and steady. His heartbeat stayed calm, like the rhythm of a drum. His eyes did not leave the shadows. He could feel the weight of his children's trust behind him, and that gave him strength. He remembered every moment with them, their laughter, their small hands clutching his, their soft voices asking for stories before sleep. He remembered their mother's last words, "Protect them, always," and he had sworn to do so, no matter what. Now the promise burned in his heart like fire. He would not let this creature harm them. The predator's body shifted. Muscles tightened. It was ready to strike. Its jaws opened slightly, rows of sharp teeth glinting in the faint starlight. It wanted to end this quickly. It wanted to taste the blood, to silence the strange calm in this human's eyes. But at that same moment, the human straightened his back, his shoulders squaring. He looked taller, stronger, like a wall standing firm against the storm. His hand tightened on the stone. His eyes shone with a light the predator had never seen before. Not fear, not despair, but something else. A father's instinct. The predator felt it, though it did not understand it. Something primal, something older than time. A force that turned weak prey into dangerous foes. It had seen it once before, long ago, when it attacked a nesting beast that fought with insane fury to protect its young. That hunt had left scars it still carried. Now the same force burned in this human. The predator hesitated, just for a moment, but in that moment the balance shifted. The human saw the hesitation. He did not smile. He did not move. But inside he knew. He had found the opening. The creature was powerful, but power meant little when fear touched the mind. Even the smallest hesitation could decide life or death. The children stayed hidden, silent and small, watching through the leaves. They could not see the predator clearly, but they could see the way their father stood. He was unshaken, unmoving, unafraid. The predator growled low in its throat, the sound rumbling like thunder. Its golden eyes burned brighter, trying to break the human's steady gaze. It crouched lower, ready to leap, ready to crush this strange prey once and for all. But the human did not flinch. The grass swayed. The stars burned above. The night grew colder, and between the 2 hunters, one beast of scale and claw, and one simple man holding only a stone, the world seemed to freeze. It was no longer a hunt. It was a test of strength, of will, of instinct. And the human, standing alone in the open field, was ready, because he was not fighting for himself. He was fighting for the 2 small hearts beating quietly in the dark behind him, and nothing in the universe was stronger than that. The predator crouched in the grass, its golden eyes fixed on the human. The wind pressed gently across the field, carrying scents of soil, stone, and flesh. The creature's nostrils flared. The smell of the human was strong, alive, full of warm blood waiting to be spilled. It had hunted across many worlds. It had torn through thick hides, cracked bones with its jaws, and silenced the cries of creatures far stronger than this thin figure standing alone. Every hunt ended the same. A chase, a scream, a kill. That was the law of the wild. That was the way of survival. To the predator, this human was no different. It lowered its body further, blending with the earth. Every muscle coiled like a spring. Its claws slid against the soil, itching to strike. Its tail swayed slowly, the tip cutting lines in the dirt. The creature's confidence burned inside it, a fire fed by countless victories. The human might stand calm, but calmness did not matter. Fearless prey bled the same as fearful prey. And when the human's body fell, when its blood soaked the ground, the cries of the young ones hiding nearby would follow. The predator licked its teeth at the thought. The human's eyes, steady and sharp, shone in the starlight. They watched unbroken. But the predator had seen eyes like that before. Even the bravest prey broke when the claws tore through flesh. Even the strongest foe screamed when teeth closed around their throat. Confidence surged in the predator's chest. The hunt was already won. It remembered its last great kill, a beast twice the size of this human. That beast had roared, shaking the mountains with its rage. Its horns had cut the air like blades. Its legs thundered against the earth. Yet it fell. The predator had clung to its neck, biting, tearing, until the beast's roar became silence. That memory filled its mind now, feeding its hunger. How much easier would this be? A single human, thin and bare, armed only with a stone. A laugh, low and rumbling, rose in the predator's throat. It almost pitted the prey for standing still, for pretending to be strong. But pity was useless. Hunger was everything. The human shifted his stance, tightening his grip on the stone. His shoulders squared, his body set like a shield between the hidden children and the beast. His stillness was not weakness, it was choice. Yet the predator only saw opportunity. The creature's ears twitched. The sound of the children's breath, faint but clear, touched its senses again. Small hearts, fragile lives, easy meals. The thought made its blood race faster. It wanted them. It wanted to taste their fear, to see the father's calm shatter as his young were taken. Yes, that would be the true kill. Not just flesh, but spirit, breaking the human strength, crushing his resolve, proving that even his calm could not save what he loved. The predator's jaws parted, releasing a hiss so soft the wind almost carried it away, a sound like sharpened blades sliding against stone. It rose slightly, its body now half visible in the grass. Moonlight caught its scales, dark and glistening like armor. Its eyes blazed brighter. This was the moment. The strike would come swift, like lightning across the sky. The human would not stop it. He could not. The predator had faced armies. It had bitten through metal shields, torn apart hunters with spears and blades. Nothing had stopped it. What could one lone human do? Confidence filled every vein, every muscle. The creature was certain. This was not a contest. This was a performance, a reminder to the universe of who ruled the night. The grass shivered as the predator took one step forward. Its weight bent the earth. Its claws left deep scars in the soil. Its mouth opened wider, revealing rows of jagged teeth, dripping with saliva. A low growl rumbled in its chest, spreading through the air like thunder rolling from the mountains. The human did not move. His gaze never wavered. He seemed carved from stone, a statue standing against the dark. His silence was louder than any scream, but the predator misread it. It thought the silence was surrender. Yes, the hunt was already over. The predator's mind swelled with triumph. It imagined the moment, the human's chest crushed, his body broken, the children's cries filling the night. It savored the picture, tasting victory before the strike. And then it crouched lower, muscles pulled tight, tail whipped once through the grass. The ground beneath it shook with its strength. The predator would leap now, but before it moved, it paused. Just for a second. The human's eyes had changed. They were not just calm. They burned, not with fear, not with weakness, but with something else, something the predator did not understand. It blinked, confused. The fire in those eyes was not the fire of prey. It was the fire of a creature ready to fight, ready to bleed, ready to kill if it had to. For a heartbeat, the predator's confidence wavered. Only for a heartbeat. Then it pushed the thought aside. It was the hunter. The galaxy knew its kind. They ruled the dark. They killed without mercy. No pair of human eyes could change that. The predator roared, a sound so deep it shook the ground, sending birds fleeing from the trees in the distance. Its body shot forward, breaking through the grass like a spear of shadow. The hunt had begun in truth, and in its heart the predator believed, no, it knew, this human would fall like all the others, because in its world, nothing was stronger than the hunter's confidence. The predator launched forward, its body a blur of scale and muscle. Grass tore under its weight, the earth shook with its power. Its golden eyes locked on the human's chest, jaws wide, claws ready. The night itself seemed to break with its roar. But the human did not run. At the last instant, he stepped aside, one sharp, precise movement. The predator's strike met only empty air. Its claws sliced through the ground, sending dirt flying, but the man was gone from its path. The human's stone flashed in the starlight. He swung with all his strength, the edge striking against the predator's side. A crack split through scale. The beast roared, twisting in pain, more surprised than wounded. It spun fast, its tail whipping through the air like a giant blade. The man leapt back just in time, the wind of the strike brushing his chest. He landed firm, steady, his eyes never leaving the creature. The predator snarled, anger burning hotter than hunger now. This was not how the hunt was supposed to go. Prey did not dodge. Prey did not strike back. Prey did not bleed the hunter. Yet the human had. The father's heart pounded, but his face stayed calm. Every step he had taken, every motion, was part of his plan. He knew he could not match the creature's strength. He could not outrun it, could not overpower it, but he could outthink it. That was his trap. When he had chosen the open field, it was not by chance. He wanted space. Space to move. Space to see. Space to make the predator show its full speed, its full strength, and to use that strength against it. The predator stalked in a circle now, golden eyes blazing, saliva dripping from its teeth. It hissed low, a promise of death. Its claws tore the ground with each step, but it did not leap again right away. It had felt the sting of the stone. It wanted to kill carefully now, to rip this prey apart piece by piece. The human watched every step. His chest rose and fell slowly, but his grip on the stone was tight. His mind worked quickly, counting the seconds, reading the beast's movements. Behind the ridge, the children crouched lower, their small eyes wide. They had seen their father move like lightning, seen him strike the beast. Fear still clung to them, but a spark of hope lit inside their hearts. If anyone could stand against the monster, it was him. The predator lunged again, this time with more control. Its claws swept wide, aiming to crush the human's skull. But again the man moved. Not back this time, forward. He ducked under the strike, sliding close to the creature's body, and rammed the stone hard into its leg joint. A sharp crack. A roar of pain. The predator staggered for a second, one limb trembling. The human slipped away before the tail could strike. His feet found firm ground, his stance strong. His eyes burned brighter now. The predator bared its teeth. Its body trembled with fury. Pain burned through its side and leg, but rage was stronger. It charged again, mouth open wide to tear the human in half. The man waited until the last moment, then dropped low, rolling aside. The predator's jaws snapped shut on empty air, teeth slamming together with a sound like thunder. The man's stone struck once more, this time across its jaw. A tooth broke free, falling to the dirt. The beast howled, fury shaking the night. Birds fled from the trees, their cries vanishing into the sky. The ground quaked under its thrashing body. The children held each other tight, terror filling their small hearts. But still they did not cry out. Their father had told them to stay silent, and they obeyed. The predator turned sharply, golden eyes blazing like fire. Its chest rose and fell fast now. Not from weakness, no, it was still strong, but from something else. Confusion. This was no normal prey. This was no simple hunt. The human was turning the field into a battlefield. And worse, the man was winning moments he should not be able to win. The predator's mind fought with itself. Hunger screamed, "Kill him now." Pride whispered, "End this. Prove you are the hunter." But somewhere deep inside, a shadow of doubt began to grow. The human saw it. He saw the hesitation in the beast's stance, the tiny delay before its next strike. And he pressed harder. He stepped forward, raising the stone high, his voice low but strong. "You will not have them." The predator tilted its head, confused. It did not know the meaning of the words, but it felt the weight in the sound. A promise. A threat. The human's trap was not only in the ground he chose, not only in the stone he carried. The true trap was in his resolve. Every move he made was not for himself. It was for the children hidden in the dark. That made him fight like no ordinary prey. The predator rushed again, claws flashing, teeth snapping. But the man was ready. He sidestepped, slammed the stone into its eye ridge, and leapt away. Blood, dark and hot, spilled across the ground. The creature staggered, vision blurred on one side. Rage filled it, but fear crept in too. A memory surfaced, the nesting beast from long ago, the one that had scarred it, the one that had fought beyond reason to protect its young. This human carried the same fire. The predator roared so loud the earth shook, trying to crush its own fear with sound. It clawed the ground, tearing deep lines. Its tail whipped violently, smashing rocks into dust. But the human did not break. He stood steady, chest rising with each strong breath, eyes locked on the beast. His hand gripped the bloody stone tighter, ready to strike again. The children in the bushes whispered softly. The older one said, "Papa is winning." The younger one nodded, eyes shining with hope. The predator snarled, lowering itself again. Its confidence bled, but its pride burned hotter. It could not retreat. It would not. To retreat was shame, and shame was worse than death. The man saw it in its eyes. The fight was far from over. The beast would not stop until one of them fell. He raised the stone once more, his voice firm in the night. "Come, then." The predator roared back, fury shaking the stars themselves. And the trap was set tighter than ever. This was no longer a hunt. It was a war between a beast of hunger and a father's will. And only one would walk away. The predator roared and lunged, its claws tearing through the air with savage speed. The ground shook as it struck, dirt exploding where its weight landed. But the human moved again, just one step to the side, just one turn of his body, and the killing blow missed. The night was no longer silent. Each strike from the beast echoed like thunder. Each dodge from the man rang like steel against steel. The tall grass bent and snapped under their movements. The stars above watched in cold silence as hunter and father clashed in the shadows. The predator's tail whipped forward, a blur of muscle and bone. The man ducked low, feeling the wind of it brush past his head. He rolled across the dirt, rising quickly, stone still in his hand. His arm swung hard, striking the beast's leg once more. The sound of cracking echoed in the dark, and the predator stumbled. The children hidden in the bushes covered their mouths, their eyes wide. They wanted to scream, to cry, but they stayed silent. They had to. Their father's words still burned in their ears. "Stay hidden. Do not make a sound." The predator spun, jaws open wide. Its teeth gleamed white in the moonlight, sharp and endless. It snapped down toward the man, but he shoved the stone upward, jamming it between the beast's teeth. The force rattled his arm, pain shooting through his wrist, but he held on. The predator's jaws clamped shut, biting down hard. The stone cracked in half, splintering under the force. The man leapt back, throwing the broken piece aside before the creature could crush his hand along with it. The predator spat the fragments to the ground, roaring in fury. Blood dripped from its jaw where the sharp edges had cut inside its mouth. Its golden eyes burned brighter now, filled with rage and disbelief. How could this human still stand? The man breathed hard, his chest rising and falling, but his eyes never wavered. He bent quickly, picking up another stone, heavier than the first. His grip tightened, his body ached, but the fire inside him only grew stronger. The predator charged again, its body a blur. The man braced himself. At the last moment, he sidestepped and slammed the stone against the beast's side. Scale cracked. The predator roared, swinging its claw. This time it caught him. The claw raked across his shoulder, tearing cloth and flesh. Blood sprayed across the grass. The man staggered back, teeth gritted, pain burning through him. But he did not fall. He stood, blood soaking his shirt, eyes blazing even brighter. The children saw the blood and gasped, their small hands gripping each other tightly. Tears filled their eyes, but still they stayed silent. Their father had told them to trust him. The predator licked the blood from its claw, tasting the iron. Its roar shook the night, a sound of triumph. It thought the fight was turning, that the human was weakening. But the man only stepped forward again, ignoring the pain. His voice was low, steady. "I will not fall." The predator hesitated. The words were strange, but the tone was clear. It felt no fear in them, only promise. The fight raged on. The predator struck, the man dodged. The man countered, the predator roared. Stones cracked against scale, claws slashed across flesh. Dust rose from the ground, mixing with blood and sweat. The grass around them lay broken, crushed by the fury of their battle. The human's movements were sharp, controlled. Every strike was aimed for weakness, joints, eyes, soft spots between scales. He could not wound it deeply, but he could wound it enough. Enough to slow it, enough to make it bleed. The predator's movements grew wild with anger. It struck harder, faster, but with less precision. Its confidence began to crack. This prey should have fallen long ago. Yet he fought on, unbroken. The man's shoulder burned with pain, his strength waned, but inside him was something stronger than muscle. The memory of his children's voices, their laughter, their trust. That memory drove his arms to swing again, his legs to keep moving, his eyes to keep watching. The predator lunged low, trying to crush him under its weight. The man leapt aside, grabbing a sharp rock from the ground. As the beast passed, he drove the rock into its side, forcing it deep between the scales. The predator shrieked, twisting violently, the rock snapping inside its body. Blood poured from the wound, thick and dark. The predator roared in fury, spinning with its tail. The strike caught the man across the chest, throwing him backward. He crashed into the dirt, the air knocked from his lungs. The children almost screamed, but they pressed their hands tighter over their mouths. Tears streamed down their faces as they saw their father fall. The predator limped closer, its wound burning, but victory near. It towered over the man, claws raised for the final strike. Its eyes blazed with hunger and pride. But the man's hand reached out, grabbing a jagged shard of stone. His body shook, blood soaked his chest, but his grip was firm. As the predator struck down, the man rolled to the side, shoving the shard upward with all his strength. It pierced the beast's jaw, tearing through flesh. The predator howled, its roar echoing across the land. The man pushed harder, forcing the shard deeper. Blood spilled down, hot and heavy, covering him. The predator jerked back, thrashing wildly, clawing at its own face. The human staggered to his feet, chest heaving, eyes locked on the beast. He raised his voice, louder now, filled with fire. "You will not touch them." The predator froze, the sound cutting through its rage. It did not understand the words, but it understood the power behind them, a power that shook even its pride. The two faced each other again, both wounded, both bleeding, both refusing to fall. The children's eyes shone in the dark. They saw their father standing tall, bloodied but unbroken. They saw the predator, once so mighty, staggering under his strikes. Hope burned stronger in their small hearts. The night was alive with the sound of battle. The predator's growls, the man's cries, the clash of stone and claw. This was no longer hunter and prey. This was war, and the shadows themselves seemed to lean closer, waiting to see who would stand when the clash was done. The predator staggered, blood dripping from its jaw, eyes burning with fury. Its chest rose and fell with each heavy breath, a low growl rumbling deep inside its throat. The human stood opposite, chest torn, shoulder bleeding, his body shaking with pain. Yet his feet were still planted, his eyes still locked on the beast. The tall grass swayed in the night wind, whispering around them. The children crouched deeper in the bushes, their tiny hands gripping each other tighter, their eyes wide with fear and hope. They saw their father's wounds, saw his blood dark on his chest and arms. But they also saw the fire in his eyes, a fire that would not die. The predator lowered itself, ready to lunge again. Its pride burned hotter than the wound in its side. This fight had gone too far. This human had dared to hurt it, dared to resist. The predator wanted not just to kill but to crush, to break this man until nothing was left. The human's hand tightened around the shard of stone he still carried. His breathing was rough, but his mind was clear. He knew his body was failing, but he also knew he could not stop. Behind him, his children waited. If he fell, they would fall too. There was no room for fear now, only action. The predator charged. Its claws slashed forward, tearing the air. The man twisted, his feet moving just in time. He swung the stone upward, striking the predator across the jaw again. The beast roared, its head snapping sideways, but it kept coming. Its massive body slammed into the man, throwing him to the ground. The earth shook as he hit. The predator pinned him down, claws digging into the dirt on both sides of his chest. Its breath washed over him, hot and foul, its teeth dripping saliva and blood. The children's eyes widened. Their father was trapped. They wanted to run, to scream, but their legs refused to move. The predator lowered its head, jaws opening wide. The man shoved his arm upward, jamming the stone shard into its mouth. The predator's teeth clamped down, biting hard. The shard snapped, cutting deep into the beast's tongue. Blood gushed, and the predator jerked back in pain, roaring into the sky. The man rolled away, gasping for air. His ribs screamed. His body burned, but he forced himself up again. He stumbled, caught himself, and raised his fists once more. The predator circled, limping slightly from the wounds already carved into its side. But even injured, it was strong, stronger than any human. Its eyes glowed like molten fire, fixed on him with hate. The man spat blood from his mouth and whispered through gritted teeth, "I will not die." The predator roared and struck again. Its claw came low, aiming for his legs. The man jumped back, but the edge still sliced across his thigh. Pain shot through him, nearly dropping him to the ground. But instead of falling, he stepped forward. His hand shot up with a jagged rock he had grabbed in the roll. He slammed it into the predator's eye. The scream that followed shook the grass, rattled the bushes, and made the children flinch. The predator staggered, clawing at its face, blood pouring from its ruined eye. Its roar was no longer only rage, it was pain. The man backed away, breathing hard, gripping the bloody stone. His leg was weak, his arm burned, but his strike had landed true. He had hurt it badly. The predator swung wildly, its tail smashing into trees and grass. It crashed against the ground, snapping branches. The earth trembled with each movement. The children ducked low, covering their heads, but their eyes stayed on their father. The man watched the beast thrash. His heart pounded in his chest. His body screamed for rest, but his mind whispered one truth: it will not stop. Not until I end it. The predator steadied itself, one golden eye still burning bright, its other ruined and bleeding. It fixed that single eye on the man, and a low growl rose again. It would fight until death. So would he. The beast lunged. The man dodged barely, the claws grazing across his ribs. He swung with the stone again, smashing it against the beast's wounded jaw. Bone cracked. The predator shrieked, swinging its tail. It hit his back, throwing him forward. He crashed hard, blood spilling from his mouth. The children almost broke. Tears streamed down their faces. Their tiny voices whispered, "Please get up, please, Father." And he did. He pushed himself off the ground, shaking, barely able to stand. His face was pale, his body broken, but his eyes still burned. He stood tall, lifting the stone again. The predator growled in disbelief. This man should not be standing. No creature should rise after so much pain. Yet here he was, still ready to fight. The night grew heavy, the air thick with dust, blood, and silence. Only the sound of their breaths filled the dark, deep, heavy, and uneven. Then they clashed again. The predator's claws tore across his arm, blood flying. The man slammed his stone into the predator's throat. The predator roared, spitting blood. They broke apart, both stumbling, both wounded. The man's vision blurred. His knees nearly buckled, but he forced himself steady. He thought of his children's faces, their small hands, their trust. That thought lit fire in his chest stronger than any wound. The predator roared again and rushed forward. The man did not run this time. He stepped forward too, screaming, lifting the sharp stone high. They collided. The predator's claw slashed across his side. Pain exploded through him, but his arm came down. The stone drove into the predator's neck, deep, tearing flesh. Blood sprayed across the grass, hot and dark. The predator howled, its voice cracking the night. It thrashed, throwing the man aside. He rolled across the ground, coughing, chest heaving, but his eyes never left the beast. The predator staggered, clawing at its throat, blood pouring down its chest. Its roars grew weaker, broken by gasps. It stumbled, one leg failing. The children's eyes shone in the dark. They saw the monster falling. They saw their father still alive. The predator tried to rise again, pride forcing it to stand, but its strength was gone. Its body shook, its golden eye dimmed. Slowly, it collapsed to the ground, the earth trembling under its fall. Silence filled the night. The man fell to his knees, breathing hard, his body covered in blood, his and the beast's. His chest rose and fell, each breath a battle. His eyes searched the shadows until they found the bushes. "Children," he whispered, his voice weak but steady. "It is safe." The bushes rustled. Two small figures ran forward, tears streaming down their faces. They threw themselves into his arms, hugging him tightly, their sobs muffled against his chest. He held them close, his arms shaking, his body broken, but his heart full. He whispered again, "I promised. No harm will come to you." Behind them, the predator's body lay still, the grass dark with its blood. The night was quiet again, the stars watching from above. But the story was not yet over. The man knew this predator had not come alone. Others would follow. Others would smell the blood. And when they came, he would be ready. Because now he was not just prey. He was the protector. The body of the predator lay still in the grass, its golden eye dull at last. The night air was heavy with the smell of blood, dirt, and sweat. The man knelt on the ground, arms wrapped around his children. His chest burned with every breath, his wounds deep, but he did not let go. For a brief moment, there was silence. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying away the echo of battle. The children clung to him, their tears wet against his skin. He stroked their hair with trembling hands, whispering softly, "It is over. You are safe." But he knew it was not over. His ears caught at first a distant rumble, low and steady. Then the ground began to tremble. The children stiffened, looking around in fear. Out of the darkness came new shapes, tall, heavy, moving with purpose. More predators. The man's stomach sank, but his jaw tightened. His fight had not ended. It had only begun. The first predator had been strong, but it had not hunted alone. No hunter of that kind ever did. And now the others had come, drawn by the sound of roars and the smell of blood. The children's eyes widened, the little hands gripping his torn shirt. "Father-more," the smallest whispered, voice shaking. He pulled them close, pressing his forehead against theirs. His voice was soft but firm. "Do not fear. You must stay behind me. No matter what you see, you do not move." The shadows thickened, and soon the glow of golden eyes pierced the night. 3 predators emerged from the darkness, their massive bodies glistening under the moonlight. Their jaws dripped with saliva, their claws digging into the ground. They saw the fallen body of their kin, and their growls deepened into rage. The man stood, his legs weak, his body torn, but his back straight. He picked up another stone, jagged and sharp. His hand bled from gripping it too hard, but he did not loosen his hold. He faced the 3 predators with steady eyes. "This is my ground," he whispered. "You will not pass." The predators fanned out, circling. Their muscles rippled as they prepared to strike. Their eyes locked on him. They expected an easy kill. This human was already broken, his body weak, his blood pouring freely. They could not understand why he still stood. The children crouched low, hiding behind him. Their eyes shone with fear, but also with something more, trust. They believed in him, even against these odds. The first predator lunged, jaws wide. The man sidestepped, swinging his stone hard against its snout. Bone cracked. The predator howled, stumbling back. The second one came from the side, claws flashing. The man ducked, rolling across the ground. Pain tore through his ribs, but he rose again, stone in hand. He struck upward, cutting across its jaw. Blood spilled, dark and heavy. The third predator waited, watching, learning. Its eyes narrowed as it studied this human, this strange prey who fought like no other. The fight raged, each strike echoing into the night. The man was tired, his body failing, but his will burned brighter with every passing moment. He fought not for himself, but for the 2 small lives pressed against the earth behind him. That gave him strength beyond his pain. The predators roared together, surrounding him again. He bled from fresh wounds, his legs shaking. He knew he could not last much longer, but he also knew one truth. If he could not survive, he would still make them remember. He shouted, voice raw, "You will never break me." The predators hesitated. The sound was not fear, it was defiance. They had never heard prey sound like that. The largest predator charged again, its jaws snapping. This time the man did not dodge. He rushed forward instead, slamming the stone deep into the soft flesh of its throat. Blood sprayed, covering his arms. The predator fell back, choking, its body convulsing. The other 2 roared, enraged. They struck together, claws cutting across his side and back. The man cried out, falling to his knees. His vision blurred, the world tilting around him. The children screamed, their voices breaking the night. But even as he fell, the man forced himself upright again. He coughed blood, wiped it from his mouth, and stood once more. His body was breaking, but his spirit stood tall. The predators saw it too. This was no prey. This was something else, something dangerous. The wounded one staggered, collapsing into the grass. The other two circled warily now, growls uncertain. For the first time, doubt flickered in their golden eyes. The man raised a stone again, blood dripping from his fingers. His voice was a whisper, but it carried in the silence. I will protect them until my last breath. The predators hesitated, watching him sway on his feet, yet still refusing to fall. They could end him easily, but something in their instincts held them back. Something told them this human was not like the others. The night stretched long. The man's breaths grew weaker, each one a struggle. His vision dimmed, his knees shook, but he refused to kneel. Finally, the predators stepped back. They snarled, their eyes blazing, but they did not advance. They looked at the fallen body of their kin, then at the human, bloodied but unbroken. Slowly, they retreated into the shadows, their growls fading with distance. The man stood trembling, barely alive, until he was sure they were gone. Then at last his knees buckled, and he collapsed to the ground. "Father!" the children cried, running to his side. They clung to him, shaking him, begging him not to close his eyes. He lifted a trembling hand, resting it gently on their heads. His voice was faint but steady. "Do not cry. You are safe now." Tears streamed down their faces. "Don't leave us," one whispered. He smiled weakly, his eyes soft. "I will never leave you. Not here," he said, pressing a hand against his chest. "I will always be with you." The children sobbed, holding him close. The stars above burned bright, watching the end of the battle. The grass whispered in the wind, carrying the story away. Far in the distance, other predators would hear of this night. They would smell the blood, see the fallen body of their kin, and feel unease. Whispers would spread among them, of a prey that fought like no prey should, of a human who stood against death itself. Fear would take root in their hearts, not of claws or stones, but of something greater, the will of a father, the fire of humanity. The man's eyes closed slowly, his last breath heavy but peaceful. The children cried out, clinging tighter, refusing to let go. And so the story ended where it began, in the shadows of the hunt. But this time, it was not the predator's story. It was the human's. The night would never forget the father who stood unbroken,